I have had a very difficult time motivating myself to make this video this week because it requires me to do something that I never thought I would have to actually do. And that something is question another autistic's advocacy. This was not originally intended to be focused on one specific autistic individual, but for reasons you will see, you might think that it was.
I'm in a very privileged position. I'm white, I'm male, I'm heterosexual, I have a job and a wife, and I live in a wealthy Western country. I'm physically disabled, but other than that, I don't have to contend with anything else that might cause me to be marginalised. Many people I know are not in as easy a position and have to deal with not only the kinds of issues I'll be talking about, but the fears that come with having different coloured skin, being transgender, being gay, or even simply being female. Intersectionality is something I'll talk about at a later date.
Would that video be trying to explain to me why, before I can concern myself with the lies and misinformation, the isolation, the mental and the physical abuse, the electroshock therapy, the bleaching, and even death that result from the actual, not perceived, inequality of autistics, I must first acknowledge and address the oppression of allistic women, the oppression of allistic persons of darker pigment, the oppression of allistic persons with physical and/or mental disabilities, and the oppression of allistic persons of various sexual preferences? No, thank you. I would like to offer a compromise. Hell no. So long as autistics can be lied about and stigmatized with impunity, so long as parents and government agencies can promote conversion therapy, dog training, and deadly de-escalation training for autistics, so long as beating, shocking, and bleaching are considered cures for the uncurable, so long as snake oil salesmen have more pull in discussions about autism than science and the actually autistic, then hell no. Perhaps we need to focus, as autism advocates, on achieving at least a minimal level of parity with allistics before concerning ourselves with the comparatively minor disparities in allistic equalities. And we don't need to muddy that battle by accepting and promoting every allistic label to divide ourselves into selfish little tribes, each vying for more equality than any other tribe. The goal is, and should be, parity for all autistics with all allistics, not which special subset of which minute quantities should receive the biggest boost toward that goal. How many people represented how many allistic groups in a TV show pales in my mind in comparison to how many parents force their children to swallow bleach tonight. A style worn by one allistic group being worn by some individual of a different allistic group is far beneath my concern when I wonder which teachers might have sat on which children. Which media opinion will incite the next round of violence between allistic group A and allistic group B bears not even a thought when I recall that no media opinion will expose any autistic child's ordeal with a 40 to 60 hour week of dog training sessions. So it's still a hell no. When autistics, that is autistics as a whole, have received even the most minimal level of parity with allistics, maybe then I will consider what allistic claims of oppression bear any weight. Until then, I can guarantee I will not be fighting for the allistic sense of ego and self-importance. I will instead continue to crusade for nothing but the mere survival of autistics. And that is all I was going to say, generally avoiding targeting you specifically and addressing the errors of the position you have adopted. But then you said this.
It's not enough to talk about autism awareness or even autism acceptance. The only way forward is autistic normalization.
So just to be sure we all know what you're saying, and I realize you're not using allistic definitions for your terms, You consider us to be wrong by talking about autism awareness, actually an allistic term and position, which is defined by use as provisional visibility if we are willing to remain helplessly disabled. And you consider us to be wrong by talking about autism acceptance, the autistic counterpoint to the allistic position, which again is defined by popular usage as visibility as we are, but according to you, it would be better for us to talk about autistic normalization, which in usage means be invisible, just the way allistics like it, by submitting to all those techniques used to make you indistinguishable from everyone else. I'm not sorry to say I'm not waiting for your consent, or even your urgent, unsolicited insistence about what position to take. What is the point of autism advocacy if the only point is advocating for not being accepted as is? Didn't you just make a video, this one in fact, railing against being treated without acceptance? I know you think you have launched some new position, normalization, as in to bring into the mainstream or make acceptable in the social consciousness. That's not edgy, and that's not new. Allistics do not think in terms of strict dictionary definitions. You just told them to be comforted in the fact that you hold their position. Allistics don't think in terms outside of their binary positions of conflict. You just told them in terms of us's and them's. You advocate for us's being them's. And autistics are not only not the mainstream, we are not even incidentally related to the mainstream. You just spent over 10 minutes erroneously relating an emotional state to general examples and personal anecdotes of having to pretend at being mainstream. You either have no idea what the acceptance movement is about, or you have wasted everyone's time advocating for a position that already exists because the overwhelming mass of humanity, allistics, already support it. Because what you go on to describe is the acceptance movement, not some fancy new normalization.
Being autistic will always be a disadvantage and a source of fear for us until it's seen as part of everyday life. When I tell someone I'm autistic, it shouldn't be a conversation starter, let alone stop people dead in their tracks. They should just see it as normal, as saying that you like detective novels or football or you come from a different town. The more people who feel safe enough to take that step forward, who are in a strong enough position to take that risk and come out of the autistic closet,
We are not in a closet.
the closer we will get to normalization.
No one besides you, the autism mommies, and the behavioral psychologists are advocating for normalization.
The more of us there are visible in society, the harder it is to treat us like outsiders or anomalies.
Well, that takes care of any arguments you might make in some future intersectionality video.
Can I make it safer for more black autists,
You mean autistics.
more trans autists,
You mean autistics.
more women, more gay people, and all those others who have more than just being autistic being held against them in society?
And you still mean, and I can't stress this enough, simply autistics. I'm sorry, I'm not going to begin to play your allistic game of tribalism. And you shouldn't expect autistics to just jump onto your allistic game bandwagon. I believe the autistic advocacy position is one for advocating for the rights of autistics, not for further tribalization along the allistic lines. I can't say that I'm totally surprised at the lengths you'll go to for this social acceptance that Allistics have convinced you that you require. I think it is wrong of you to consider that all other autistics should follow your lead, as if you're some kind of authority, or that you believe that the intersectional community has some kind of benefit awaiting you or autistics in general, just because you've taken the position to support it. In either case, I would have some bad news for you. You're neither in a position of authority, nor will the intersectional movement care about you or autistics any more than they already do. 1. You have the same amount of authority as any other autistic advocate, as an advisor, and the primary mover behind the autism cure movement, the anti-vaccine because of autism cause movement, and all other such positions is actually intersectionality. I am hopeful that one day you will return to the excellent, in my opinion, videos on advising autistics on how better to navigate their lives, and you will swerve drastically away from trying to be as divisively inclusive as intersectionality seems to have made you.